Brutal Hells Angels rules that are mandatory. The Hells Angels have a bad name, and for all the wrong reasons. Police officials claim they engage in unlawful behavior, while the general public considers them outlaws who dominate the road. But what's the reality about the world-famous motorcycle club and its intimidating members? While these guys themselves usually keep quiet, we do know a few secrets, including these 30 surprising regulations that everyone must follow, or else. You can only ride a Harley. You can only join the Hells Angels by owning a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. That's right, you not only have to provide your own bike, but it also has to come from one manufacturer in particular. This is because members customarily ride Harley-Davidson models exclusively. There are a few exceptions to the rule, though they depend on the specific Hells Angel charter you join. Some charters permit non-Harley bikes so long as they choose another American-made brand, such as Buell, which is owned by Harley-Davidson. It's tough to start your own Hells Angels charter, but it's possible. The Hells Angels website is clear that it takes time to set up a charter. The site says that motorcycle clubs are made up of people who have been riding together for years, live close by, are known in their community, and feel like brothers. You can't develop that level of closeness quickly. An official arm of the Hells Angels only consider a motorcycle community after years of riding together by choice. That might be why their club website lacks any joining instructions. Once you're established enough, initiating membership is unnecessary. You're just part of the group at that point. Don't question their grammar. While it may be grammatically incorrect, Hells Angels does not contain an apostrophe before the first S. The name suggests that the motorcyclist belongs to hell, but the organization only recognizes one proper spelling of its name. The Hells Angels have always been known to break the rules, and that apparently includes grammar rules too. The motorcycle gang's official website says, "Yes, we know there's an apostrophe missing, but it's you who miss it. We don't. If you want to stay on a member's good side, we advise against disagreeing with this grammatical choice." There's a dress code. A Hells Angels vest is a coveted accessory for any member. It has the organization's name and insignia on the back. As a result, when you're on the road, everyone will know with whom you're riding. However, that isn't the only item that must be worn by Hells Angels members. You see, Hells Angels charters each have their own dress code. Some don't allow riders to wear shorts, while others bar their members from sporting anything but the color black. In other places, however, motorcyclists may be permitted to don denim and camouflage prints. And handily, these rules help neighboring charters recognize one another on the road. You can't join another biker club. After reading this list, you may think that joining the Hells Angels is a life-altering decision, and you would be correct. The group prides itself on developing bonds between members and creating a strong brotherhood. Because of these connections, there's no need to join another bike organization. It appears that Hells Angels should avoid any other social clubs or membership-only organizations, according to the site. The website continues, "If you're not sure if your club and the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club are related, don't mix your support for the Hells Angels with other clubs, street gangs, or others. It's best to stick to those you know so as to not mix them up." Angels don't speak to the media. There's a reason why the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is so mysterious. Its members prefer to keep it that way. For one thing, they don't tell anyone their plans or planned activities, and if you happen to see a bunch of Hells Angels riding, you've probably figured it out as well. Hells Angels' silence towards the press is due to an internal policy: don't talk to the press. By remaining tight-lipped, riders defending their image and avoiding potential danger for themselves and others. Furthermore, since only those inside the organization need to be aware of chapter events, it would be unwise to divulge this information. The vests are considered sacred. The vest that a Hells Angel member receives once they're officially inducted into the group is more than just an accessory. That piece of clothing is revered among the motorcyclists who make it into the exclusive club, and all of them treat the garment with great care. Your personal style might include a similar outfit, but the difference is that you don't likely feel nearly as strongly about it. Some Hells Angels members won't even let medics cut off their vests in life-threatening situations because wearing the famous gear is such an honor. Say goodbye to other hobbies. When you join a Hells Angels charter, your brothers will expect you to put the organization first. And as membership comes with advantages, like voting privileges at meetings, it's important that you take this responsibility seriously and make the club your #1 priority. Consequently, members of the Hells Angels typically do not have hobbies outside the club. In fact, many spouses and partners of members also understand that the club always comes first. No one in law enforcement can join. Though you may think a police officer would get along well with the Hells Angels, especially one who patrols on a motorcycle, that's not the reality. The group actually has a strict rule against admitting anyone working in law enforcement. That includes prison guards. So any ties to law enforcement will forever keep you from joining the club. The Hells Angels, while not having the best rapport with cops, are notorious for engaging in criminal activities. Even if they're not breaking the law, club members respect their right to govern themselves and value their freedom. A police officer serving among them would certainly dampen things down a bit. Interrupting a meeting could cost you. If you picture a Hells Angels meeting, you might imagine it to be as rowdy as the riders' engine-revving antics on the road. In actuality, though, there are very specific guidelines dictating how members should behave at their regular gatherings. The organization follows Robert's Rules of Order, which was originally written in 1876 to help businesses keep any assembly civil. Robert's Rules of Order describe the procedures for conducting a democratic meeting, as does Robert's Rules of Order. The agenda must be followed scrupulously, but members are permitted to speak only when it's truly essential. Anyone who has a question must first ask it before the meeting begins. Also, apparently breaking a rule costs $100. Never rat out a fellow angel. According to reports, not all Hells Angels members follow a conventional path. Some, it's said, are involved in unlawful activities, which naturally catch the attention of the local authorities. However, if the police start investigating, many members of the charter know what to do: say nothing. Even if a member is involved in a crime, the group has a firm rule of silence. Talking to police or any other type of investigator may incriminate a brother, or worse yet, the entire chapter. As a result, it's usually best to avoid speaking with your mouth open. Substance abuse is strictly prohibited. If you're assuming that Hells Angels' criminal activity involves drugs, think again. The organization has a zero-tolerance policy for any involvement with illegal substances. For example, the charter in Toronto specifically forbids needle use. Ultimately, substance abuse would damage the reputation of Hells Angels members, so they avoid it. The organization also has a zero-tolerance policy for sexual assault. If a rider commits such an act or uses drugs, they're permanently removed from the charter. When the cops pull one member over, they all pull over. Hells Angels members are required to follow the law, even if they don't want to. If police officers see a motorcyclist breaking the law, they'll pull them over. However, when this happens, the rest of the charter will act according to the club's rules. In essence, when one of the brothers pulls over, others will follow and sit on the roadside in solidarity. They do this as a sign of support without a doubt, but there's also a possible deterrent effect. You can't retire. The Hells Angels are looking for a lifelong commitment from their members and therefore have an intensive interview process. You can be kicked out of the motorcycle club for breaking the rules, but other than that, you're in it until death. But a lifetime membership does have its benefits, as Hells Angels enlistees become more like family than members of a motorcycle gang. And they generally take that connection very seriously, being brothers to the very end, at which point they give any fallen biker a proper send-off. Rule breaking comes with serious consequences. You've learned one thing by now: the Hells Angels do not make rules just for the sake of it, and it's clear that members are committed to the organization and its reputation. If someone joins the club but fails to meet its requirements or chooses to flaunt them, they will be severely criticized. Those who have investigated the Hells Angels have heard horror stories of how remaining members will burn off the tattoos of those who haven't obeyed the motorcyclist code. But the worst consequence of all for any rider would be removal from the club, a major dishonor, especially as membership is otherwise a lifelong commitment. Strictly no women allowed. The name Hells Angels might make you to think of the TV show Charlie's Angels and assume that women are allowed to ride alongside men. But in reality, the group does not permit women to join, so you'll never see them riding when a charter goes for a spin. Although this is true, there are a number of women who are quite close to the Hells Angels organization. Many of the male members of the club have partners and spouses in their lives, and they're required to comply as well. Yes, a loyal Hells Angels associate will most likely learn the ropes and attempt his or her best to follow all of them. You have to be ready to ride a lot. Membership in the Hells Angels clearly comes with a lot of responsibilities, but if you join a motorcycle gang, you probably won't have any problem with this rule. You have to be prepared to ride with your brothers, and if you're a little on the lazy side, beware. This doesn't mean only short, quick jaunts down the road. Hells Angels website claims that charters ride more than 12,000 miles together every single year. Do the math. You'll find that's roughly 33 miles a day. Of course, the gang doesn't hit the road every Monday through Sunday, but you do have to be prepared to drop everything for a long cruise. And if you like riding, it won't be a huge burden on your bike for hours at a time, will it?